I haven't done a video on this before, so I thought that I would explain why I do not identify as a Norse pagan anymore, because I used to use this label in the past. I am ethnically German on both sides of my family. I can trace my mother's side back to modern Germany. Modern Germany is the unified German state. My cousins on my mother's side have been here a lot longer than my great-grandmother was here. They received land from President Grant. My father's side is also German, but I haven't tried investigating that side of my family yet. It is a bit complicated, but it is likely that my father's side has been here since before the German state was created. This means that I could argue that I am a Proto-German. Most German Americans are Proto-Germanic and have nothing to do with the modern German state. Most modern German Americans are descendants of people who came to the US before Germany was a unified state. My background is Germanic, so why don't I identify as a Norse or Germanic pagan? The simple answer is that I don't really feel a connection to the Germanic gods. However, there are 3 exceptions. The first exception is Thor. I venerate Thor because I do feel a bit of a pull from him. I always wear my hammer when I go out in public. I used to live in New York. I had a personal experience shortly after moving to Arizona. This experience was easily attributed to Odin, and I recognized it back then. This experience was my final push into the world of paganism, and the main reason why I venerate Odin. Skathi is the 3rd Norse god that I sometimes feel a pull from. Skathi is a goddess of winter, snow, and mountains. I am surrounded by mountains, but I do not get any snow where I currently live, which kind of makes this weird. I dislike the Norse and Germanic pagan purity trap. Many Norse pagan communities will tell you that you aren't a real Norse pagan if you don't venerate all the gods. This does not sit well with me for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that I think it is disrespectful to venerate a god just to venerate a god. If you are going to venerate a god, then it should be a god that you are drawn to or one that you are interested in. There must be some kind of pull to that god. Otherwise, I think it is disrespectful. The second issue I have is that I do not trust Snorri. I am a history guy, and I have issues with the Eddas. We have very strong archaeological evidence for Thor, Odin, Freyr, and Tyr being venerated in the past. We have strong evidence for Freya, Nerthus, Uller, and Frigg. The evidence for Skathi, Balder, Forseti, and Heimdallr is much, much weaker. Let alone all the other gods, goddesses, spirits, and named figures throughout the Eddas. I am not saying that Snorri is a liar, or he just made up some of the gods in the Eddas, although this might be the case for some of the gods. We don't know. But what I am saying is that there is currently very little archaeological or historical evidence for most of the Germanic and Norse gods in the Eddas. And I am somebody that prefers looking at things through the historical lens to the best of my ability. There's also the possibility that some of the major gods in the Poetic and Prose Eddas have a smaller cultic footprint than some of the minor gods mentioned. This is the case with Uller. Uller was obscure in the Eddas, but his cult was all over Scandinavia. Most Norse pagans love the Vikings. I think the Vikings are interesting, and I have nothing against them. But I do not feel drawn to them, despite having Germanic blood running through my veins. The Vikings have just never been able to hold my attention for very long. The same could be said for most of Europe. There is a reason why my history degree is not in European history. I am eclectic because I do venerate the 3 Norse and Germanic gods outlined in this video, but I feel drawn more towards Hellenic polytheism, Shinto, and Taoism. I do like Hinduism, but I do not feel very drawn to any Hindu gods other than Ganesha. There are many Hellenic polytheist groups that have the same issue that many Norse pagan groups have, where you are expected to venerate all the gods. I take issue with this, but the Greek gods are more reliable to me. There were cults for most of the Greek gods that we know about. It's not a guessing game. I also find the samurai and Chinese fox spirits much more fascinating than the Vikings. Obviously, I have nothing against Norse pagans, heathens, Germanic pagans, Asatru, or decent Odinist. I just don't identify as a Norse or Germanic pagan myself anymore, despite having Germanic blood. If I had a stronger draw to the Germanic world, then I would likely identify more as a Norse pagan, but being an eclectic polytheist fits me more. I have always been drawn more towards the East than the West. This is just how I see things. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic day or night.